Welcome to Storytime with Elo.
The Yaa'S Trilogy Part 3, Yaa'S Redemption. The campus was alive with whispers, but none of them healed Ya. Heads turned when she passed. Some eyes were filled with admiration, others with pity. But all of it felt like salt rubbed raw. Ya kept her chin high, but inside, the triumph rang hollow. Mensa was gone, suspended, disgraced, stripped of all the power he had lorded over her. But the victory had not restored her. The memories clung too tightly. The nights in his office pressing down on her chest like a weight. She was free, yes, but not whole. Enam noticed the quiet. "You should be happy," she said one evening, flopping onto Ya's bed, her afro spreading across the pillow. "You won. That man's name is dirt now." Ya folded her arms. "Then why does it feel like I lost something too?" Kwame had no easy answers either. Only silence, his gaze steady and sad. When the term ended, Ya didn't linger. Some part of her longed for the stillness of home. She stepped into the village courtyard, and her mother rushed forward, wrapping her arms around her. Her father's nod was measured, his eyes searching her face, as though trying to read her. Arabelle was glowing as always, her smile wide, her steps light. "At last you back," she said, looping her arm through Ya's. "So much has happened while you were gone. You won't believe it. Amma married that teacher from the next town. You know, the one with the terrible breath. And Daniel and Lydia broke up. Sis, you've missed a whole soap opera." Ya let her sister chatter on. She had missed this, the way Araba turned everyday life into theater. Later, under the shade of the mango tree, Araba sprawled beside her, still talking, about neighbors quarreling over borrowed salt, about Auntie Margaret fainting in church, about the boys racing their bicycles down the hill until one of them broke his arm. Dizzy, harmless, sweet. And for a change, Ya's silence didn't feel suffocating. As the days went on, the village moved in its same rhythms. Women pounding yam in the courtyard, men arguing over whose farm plot was larger, and children chasing one another through the dust. To Ya, it felt strangely slower than before, though maybe it was just her bones dragging with exhaustion. A week into the holiday, Araba burst into the room waving an envelope. "Letter for you, sister. It's from the city." Ya frowned. No one wrote letters anymore. She took it, half curious, half annoyed, and broke the seal. The handwriting was neat, deliberate. "Ya." Everyone scattered when the term ended, but you were too quiet those last few days. Even after Mensa was served his just desserts, you looked like someone carrying stones in her chest. So, I'll write. Not because you asked, but because I think you need someone to remind you you are still here. If you never answer, that's fine. But don't pretend I don't see you. Kwame. Ya read it twice before folding it away. She told herself it was nonsense, a waste of paper. But late that night, when the goats were quiet and the crickets sang, she pulled it back out again. The next letter came a few days later. "My mother is the worst cook. Her food tastes like punishment. I must be the only student who misses canteen food. Why do I get the feeling you can't cook either? Do correct me if I'm wrong." Ya found herself smiling before she could stop it. She shook her head and tucked it under her pillow. When the third envelope arrived, she finally answered. "Kwame, this feels silly, but fine. Since you insist, here you go. The highlight of my week was Araba narrating every second of Aunt Maggie's second fainting spell in church. She said the usher caught her head just in time. I wish you could have seen it. And yes, I can cook. But I must admit, Araba is better than me. And if you laugh at me for writing this, I'll stop. She handed the letter off to the boy cycling into town, cheeks hot with nerves. His reply was longer. Yeah, ink isn't wasted if it carries truth. And truth is this. I don't care if you write about fainting aunties or stubborn goats, as long as you write. You make even the smallest things sound alive. So please, don't hold back. I want it all. Also, for the record, I did laugh, but only because I could hear your voice in the words. Ya found herself smiling again. The letters multiplied. His tone grew playful, hers sharper, then softer. In the next letter, he said, when we get back to campus, I'll drag you to a dance floor. You can't stay in corners forever. And if you keep pretending you don't like my letters, I'll start charging admission to read them aloud in the library. And if you're still rolling your eyes at this, then good. That means you're alive. She teased back, dared him with her words, confessed fears she couldn't say aloud. The act of writing loosened her. Shame bled out in ink, replaced with laughter. All of a sudden, she felt like her heart had space to stretch. When the holiday ended, Ya made her way back to Accra with her trunk balanced in the back and a bundle of folded letters hidden beneath her clothes. But she wasn't trembling this time. The letters had steadied her. She climbed the steps of the dorm, clutching her key, half afraid the intimacy on paper wouldn't survive the air between them in real life. The dorm smelled the same, fried oil from the canteen drifting through the cracked windows. Enam's perfume sprayed far too generously. Laughter echoing down the hall. Ya set her trunk by the bed, nerves fluttering in her chest. Enam waltzed in, squeezed and launched at her. Finally, you back! Do you know how boring life was without you? I spent the whole holiday with my goody two-shoes sister Veronica. All she could talk about was the latest sermon in church. So, did you miss me? At least a little? Ya laughed, shaking her head. Maybe a little. They talked late into the night about their different holidays. Enam spinning stories with her usual flair. Ya smiling, but her mind was on the bundle of letters folded away deep in her trunk. The next morning, she walked into the library. She slipped inside, clutching her books, nerves knotting in her stomach. For weeks she had hidden in the safety of words, exchanging letters with Kwame, her confessions tucked away in ink. Now, here he was, in the flesh. He was leaning over a desk near the back, sunlight cutting through the tall windows and catching on his skin. He looked up just as she walked in. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the noise of chairs scraping and pages flipping seemed to fade. He smiled, slow, certain, and she felt a blush rise in her cheeks. A grin tugged at his mouth. So, did Margaret faint again? Ya smiled. Yes, turns out she was pregnant the whole time, after being told it was impossible. The family is very happy. Just so you know, Kwame said, I kept every single one of your letters. But don't worry, I won't sell them on the black market. Unless they start paying for sarcasm. Ya gave a cheeky grin. I thought you liked my sarcasm. Kwame tilted his head slightly, studying her. You look different. Lighter. The village must have done something good. Maybe it was just the quiet, Ya smiled. Or maybe it was the letters, Kwame said. The tension snapped like a taut string. She laughed, soft and reluctant, shaking her head. "You too sure of yourself." He leaned forward, his elbows resting on the table. His gaze held hers, steady and unflinching. "I'm only sure of one thing, yeah. You. The rest? Chaos." Her pen slipped from her fingers, clattering against the table. The sound jolted her back, and she bent quickly to retrieve it, her cheeks burning. By the time she sat upright, he was still watching her, amusement tugging at his lips. From across the room, Enam appeared, eyes narrowing suspiciously at the sight of the two of them leaning close. She slid into the seat beside Ya. "Am I interrupting something?" Ya flushed. "We were studying." "Sure," Enam said. "Studying." Ya buried her face in her notebook, though she couldn't keep the smile curving at her lips. The game had shifted. Letters were one thing, but now she wasn't sure how long she could keep her heart from betraying her in every glance and every word. The next few days blurred, yet every second felt sharper. Ya couldn't step into the lecture hall, the dining hall, or even the campus courtyard without sensing Kwame's gaze. He didn't hover. That wasn't his style. He let the space between them breathe. But when their paths crossed, he made every glance feel deliberate, like a private language only they understood. One afternoon, she found him waiting at the bottom of the lecture hall steps. He leaned against the rail, sleeves rolled to his elbows, notebook tucked casually under his arm. A group of girls walked by, giggling, one even biting her lip as she waved. Kwame gave a polite nod, but his eyes stayed fixed on Ya. "Your fan club grows by the day," she teased as she descended. He smirked. "What can I say? People love a man with neat handwriting." She laughed in spite of herself, clutching her books tighter. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "But you know I don't wait here for them." Her heart stumbled. Before she could reply, Enam's voice cut through the moment. "Yeah! Walk faster! I'm starving!" Enam was at the top of the steps, rolling her eyes at the scene below. She bounced down, slipping between them with the ease of someone who refused to be ignored. "Kwame, don't you have somewhere else to be? A fan club to feed, maybe?" Kwame chuckled, unbothered. "Hey, even presidents take lunch breaks." His gaze flicked back to Ya, lingering a moment too long before he finally walked off. Enam hooked her arms through Ya's. "He's everywhere these days. Don't tell me you're falling for his smooth nonsense." Ya forced a shrug. "We friends, you know that." Enam drawled. "Friends don't look at each other like that." Later that night, Ya sat under the library's harsh lights, trying to focus on her reading. A folded scrap of paper slid across her desk. She looked up. Kwame, passing by without a word, his face unreadable. She unfolded the note. "You can keep pretending this is nothing, but I already know. Stop fighting it." Her pulse raced. She crumpled the paper, but her hands lingered over it too long. Across the room, Enam watched her, suspicion flashing in her eyes. Kwame had a way of turning the ordinary into something charged. When he sat beside her in the library, he didn't drown her in chatter. He would lean close enough that she could smell the faint spice of his cologne, then whisper a single sharp line that unsettled her concentration. His grin was lazy, self-assured, but his eyes carried something deeper, a softness that made her chest tighten. The gestures didn't stop at words. On days when her energy flagged, he would drop a packet of roasted groundnuts on her desk without a word. When she stayed too long bent over her notes, he would appear behind her, tugging gently at her braid. "Time to stretch before your brain burns out," he would say, his tone light but his concern real. Enam didn't seem to like it at all. One evening in the dorm, she confronted Ya. "You think I don't see? The way he looks at you, the way you look back." "It's not like that," Ya said. "Oh, please." Yeah, I've seen him with other girls before. He flirts, they swoon, then it's over. Don't think he's special. Ya flinched at the sting. Enam sighed with regret, softer now. I just don't want you to get hurt. You've been through enough already. Later, walking back from evening class, Kwame fell into step beside her. You've been quiet all day, he said. Are you avoiding me? She shrugged. People talk. Kwame glanced, unbothered. Let them talk. The truth doesn't live in their mouths. Something in the way he said it, calm, certain, lodged deep inside her. She wanted to believe him. That night, Ya lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The memory of Mensa's cruelty still sat in her bones. But Kwame's words, his gestures, his unwavering presence, they pressed against that wound like balm. And she found herself asking, how long could she keep pretending she didn't want to be seen? But Enam's suspicion didn't fade. It sharpened. She was used to being the loudest, brightest flame in their trio, the one who drew attention, who made friends wherever she walked. But lately, it was Ya who seemed to carry a new kind of glow. One afternoon in the courtyard, she caught Kwame waiting for Ya, hands in his pocket, a half smile curving his lips like he had all the time in the world. Enam intercepted him. So this is what you do now, she said flatly. Lurk around, waiting for her. Kwame raised a brow, amused. Enam, always dramatic. She folded her arms. Kwame, let me tell you something. You're a great friend. But boyfriend? No. Girls fall for your charm, but then you move on like it never mattered. Ya doesn't need that. Something flickered in his eyes. Not offense, but steel. You think I'd play with her after everything she's been through? His voice was calm, but there was an edge. We've been hanging out all year, Enam. If you can't read the difference in me now, maybe you never looked close enough. Enam blinked, unsettled by the quiet conviction in his tone. Later, Ya found Enam in their room, unusually quiet. What happened? Ask your new shadow, Enam muttered, chewing her lip. Ya hesitated. I think he's being sincere. I don't think you need to worry. Sincere for now, Enam said. She glanced at Ya. Just don't forget who held you when you couldn't breathe last term. Don't forget who you can trust when the charm fades. That evening, Kwame walked Ya back from class. The night air smelled of earth after rain, the pavement glistening under the street lamps. He glanced at her, his tone lighter. Your friend doesn't like me. Our friend, Ya said. Well, not anymore, Kwame said sadly. I think she's just being protective. And you? Kwame asked. Do I need to prove myself to you too? The world around them hushed, the sound of their footsteps echoing. She didn't answer, not with words, but when their hands brushed, she didn't pull away. And for Kwame, that was enough, for now. Kwame found her in the library again, a fortress of books stacked around her like walls. He leaned on the edge of her table, casual but deliberate. You hiding again? Ya looked up from her notes. I'm studying. Same thing. He slid into the chair across from her. You study when you don't want anyone to see you, but I'll risk being ignored. You interrupting me. His grin only deepened. That's my role in your life, the interruption you secretly enjoy. She bent over her notes, scribbling aimlessly, but her hand shook ever so slightly. After a moment, he pushed a folded scrap of paper toward her. One dance, just one. Tonight, no excuses. Are you being serious right now? She whispered. Completely, he said. See you later. Later, under the glow of the student center lights, the music was softer than the clubs Enam usually dragged them to. Just a small group of students laughing and swaying. Kwame held out his hand. Ya hesitated. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. I promise I'll keep you safe, even from your own nerves. She placed her hand in his. The dance was slow, deliberate, his palms steady at her back, her head finding his shoulder almost without thinking. She could feel his breath near her temple, his heartbeat close enough to echo her own. When the music quietened, he didn't let her go. You're stronger than you know, and softer than you'll admit. Both are why I can't stop. He trailed off, his eyes catching hers, dark with intent. Her lips parted, the air thick between them. For one suspended moment, he leaned in, and then, aha! Enam's voice cut through the air. So this is where my two favorite people disappeared to. Ya pulled back too quickly, her face burning. Kwame stepped back, but didn't flinch, his gaze still locked on her. The spell was broken, but Ya's body still thrummed with the ghost of his almost kiss. The next week blurred with stolen moments and unspoken questions. Kwame made it his mission to draw Ya out of her shadows, and he did it with a mix of gentleness and mischief that left her constantly off balance. At the dining hall, he slid into the seat across from her, flashing a grin that made two other girls at the next table sigh audibly. What's the point of jollof if you don't steal half of someone else's plate? He teased, snatching her spoon before she could react. Kwame, she hissed, though her lips twitched. You'll forgive me. You always do, he said. But Enam caught it. She caught everything. Her laughter at the table that night was a shade too loud, her jokes edged with something that wasn't quite playful. Later in their room, Enam tossed her books onto the bed with a sigh. You know, it used to be me and you against the world. Now it's just you and Kwame. I'm just extra furniture. Ya stiffened. That's not true. Isn't it? Enam's eyes flashed. Every time I turn around, you two are whispering, laughing. It's like I don't even exist. Do you even see me anymore? Ya opened her mouth, closed it. She wanted to protest, but the truth sat heavy. She had been distracted by the way Kwame's voice wrapped around her name like it belonged to him. I'm sorry, Enam. I didn't mean... Enam shook her head, forcing a laugh. Forget it. I'm going out. She slammed the door behind her. Ya lay awake for hours, restless and conflicted. The following evening, Kwame found her outside the lecture hall. Are you okay? He asked. Not really, she said. Enam thinks... She thinks we've forgotten her. I've forgotten her. Or maybe she's just jealous, Kwame said. Can you blame her? Ya frowned. Jealous? Of how you look at me, he said simply. And I don't blame her. Because when you look at me that way, I forget everything. His hand brushed hers, tentative, asking, promising. For a heartbeat, the world tilted towards him. Kwame's voice was low and certain. This isn't over. And she knew he meant it. The dorm was unusually quiet that evening. Ya had been buried in her books for hours, but the words on the page refused to settle. She kept glancing at the clock, a part of her worried about Enam. A few hours later, the door creaked open. Enam stepped in, her usual dramatic entrance muted. No exaggerated sigh, just a small, tired figure slipping inside and shutting the door behind her. Ya looked up apprehensively. Hey, you okay? For a moment, Enam didn't answer. And then, no, I'm not okay. Ya's chest tightened. Talk to me. Enam gave a shaky laugh that wasn't really a laugh at all. It's stupid. I've been out with other people trying to prove that I don't care, trying to show that I'm fine on my own. But the truth is, I've loved being friends with you and Kwame. It was like we're this little trio, and now I feel like there's no space for me. Like I've been sidelined, like I'm invisible. I've always been told I was too much. At home, past friendships, and I never felt like that with you guys. And now I just feel like I have nothing. Ya jumped up and hugged a friend tightly. Enam, I am so sorry. I've been selfish. I've been wrapped up in my own mess and in Kwame, and I didn't see what was happening to you. Please forgive me. Her earnestness affected Enam greatly. Stop. Don't get all sentimental on me now. And as if summoned, Kwame was at the door. Everything okay? Enam groaned, rolling her eyes. Of course it's you. But her tone wasn't sharp this time. Just tired. After Ya had explained the situation clearly, Kwame turned to Enam. Whatever's going on between me and Ya, it doesn't change the fact that you're our friend. You matter to both of us. Later that night, Ya slipped outside. The campus was hushed, shadows stretching under the flickering lamps. Kwame fell into step. Are you stalking me? Maybe, he said softly. Or maybe you're just hard to ignore. They stopped beneath a street lamp. His voice lowered. You know, when I first wrote to you, I thought you'd laugh and toss the letters away. But you let me in. Do you know what that means to me? I didn't let you in easily, Ya admitted. Well, that's why it matters so much, he murmured. The silence grew thick. He brushed his fingers with his and slowly leaned in. Tell me to stop, and I will. She didn't. Their lips met, tentative, real, a kiss not of fire, but of something steadier, a flame waiting to grow. The weeks unfolded like dawn after a storm. Ya and Kwame no longer danced around their feelings. They walked hand in hand to class, laughing openly in the dining hall, shared secret corners that felt like theirs alone. Enam rejoined them too, the trio restored, but different, brighter. The glow at its center was love, and even she couldn't deny it. When the term ended, Ya boarded the trotro home, Kwame's hand warm in hers until the very last moment. Back in the village, she slipped beneath the mango tree where it had all began. The very same tree where she once thought herself too clever for clay walls and cassava fields. Now she sat quietly, watching the leaves shift in the evening breeze. She thought of everything she had endured. The arrogance that once blinded her, the fall that nearly broke her, the fight to reclaim her voice. And then she thought of Kwame, of the letters, the laughter, the first kiss under the street lamp, the way he had waited patiently for her to choose herself. She smiled into the wind as if speaking to the younger girls who would sit here one day. Never think you are too clever to fall. But if you do fall, do not think it ends your story. You can rise again, and when you rise, choose yourself first. Only then can love find you. The kind that heals, not hurts. The mango leaves rustled, carrying her words across the village. Ya smiled in response. She didn't just feel whole, she felt free.